Hi, I'm Justin. Today I have a book review of Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I finished this book last night at like midnight and I'm pretty sure this book got me out of my slump, but I'm saying that premeditatively. If I read some books now, then it got me out of my slump. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. It was so good. If you've read Fangirl, it tells the story of Simon and Baz, who were in the fictional book in Fangirl, and it's not the same story as in Fangirl. It is Rainbow Rowell's take on the characters that she created in Fangirl. So you don't have to read Fangirl to read this. It's basically a story about a magical school in which Simon is the chosen one and Baz is his vampire roommate who he thinks is evil. And yeah, I think that's all I want to say for a synopsis, because I think it's really good to go into it not knowing much more than that, apart from that it's a love story. I'm not going to say whose, because I loved not really knowing whose it was. In the fanfiction in Fangirl, Baz and Simon are shown as a couple, but it's all in Kath's imagination. It's like her fanfiction, because she's like, Simon and Baz have to be together. Is reading subtext of the book and not the actual book, so that's why it's not, Rainbow Rowell says it's not the actual book and it's not Cass fanfiction, it's somewhere in between. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. The characters, as in all the Rainbow Rowell books, are so complex, and the magical system was so interesting. They use common words and phrases and use those to do spells, and it's all about like the evolution of language and stuff. So if normal people stop saying a certain phrase, then the spell stops having as much power. So the mages have tried in the past to force phrases to be popular so that those spells get their powers back, because if a phrase goes out of use, then the power is not in the spell anymore. And I really thought that was really interesting, because obviously language is evolving throughout all of history. Like, we don't talk the same as people even 20 years ago talked, so it's really interesting to think about how they'll create new spells and evolve themselves on the language, and I really enjoyed that. But mostly I enjoyed the romance. It was so adorable. Oh, I loved it so much. The whole book I was like, oh, that's so cute, it's so cute. And I was like, oh, I feel like Kath from Fangirl, because I really love Simon and Baz and they're adorable and they should be together. And yeah, it's not your typical chosen one evil person story, and I really enjoyed that twist on the genre trope that's become so evident and it basically happens in every fantasy book now. And I like that Rainbow Rowell twisted it up a bit and let Simon have his own story rather than the one that has been cast for him. And I really enjoyed the twists and turns that went through it, and there were some scenes where I was just like holding my breath because it was so intense, and oh, it was so good. There were scenes that made me tingly, there were scenes that made me excited, and I really felt like I was with these characters. I didn't feel like I was either of them. I felt like I was an outsider, like one of their friends looking in on it, being so excited about everything that was going on, who'd like known that everything that's happening should happen, but like was an outsider, I guess. I just really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the point of view it gave me, and it switches point of view. All the characters that you see primarily get a point of view, and even some characters that you don't see get a point of view. And all the mysteries were really great, and I liked that at the ending the characters weren't entirely aware of their mysteries. Like, Simon is an orphan, and by the end of the book he still doesn't know who his parents are, even though as a reader you've probably figured it out because it's basically told to you. But I like that we know things that Simon doesn't through the point of views we get, because it's a bit unrealistic that Simon would figure out every single thing. He'd figure out who the Hundred was, he'd figure out who his parents were, he'd figure out all that the mage was doing. It's just something that can't happen. So giving us these multiple perspectives allowed him to have a realistic ending while also giving us a few more answers than we would have got. I'm still left feeling like I really want more, and there are answers that I wasn't given that I could have wanted the answers to, but I feel like the ending was great and we got a really great ending out of it, and I really enjoyed it. And if you've not read it, and if you've not read any of Rainbow Rowell's books, definitely go do that because all of them are perfect. I just love all of them. But I think this one might be my favourite, so I want to recommend this one the most. And yeah, so that was my review of Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.